Hello, everyone. This is Joanna, the storytelling channel. Okay, MySpace in your place. All of those faces. Yes, I've come to you today with another story. I'll make it quick. A little weekend story for you. We're going to call this Amazing Grace. Well, it was a lady. She was a widow. She had lost her mother. She lost her husband. She had bought her a home from the money that she got from her husband. She had two daughters, age 9 and 11, and she moved to this little town. Okay, she was a minister. She had gotten her minister's license. She had graduated from I guess minister's school, or what you call it, divinity college. She was a minister, like I said, a widow. She lost her mother and her father, and she moved to this little town and bought her a home for her two little girls. Um, she was one Saturday night, they were having a function for their church that Sunday. So she went to this nearby supermarket to retrieve something to make the cake. And when she did go, she got her everything, her and her daughters. And when she got back to the car, there was two gentlemen waiting on her, young boys, but not too young that one of them got the electric chair. Yeah, so both of them could have, but one of them I think was too young, but one of them, he was old enough to go, and he got the electric chair. So this is a true story. And so they made the lady, they kidnapped her and her daughters and took them to a location, off, but it had some houses around, and but it was back up in there. They called it Hitchy Ditch. That was the name of the little area. And the housing area was over from that place. But anyway, they raped her repeatedly, and her daughters looked on, and they was crying, and they beat her, raped her. They was drinking and smoking weed, blowing the weed in her face and all that stuff. And so then she was trying to get them saved while they was doing this. And the one that was sentenced to death, he was blowing the smoking after he was raping her. He said, "Let God save you now," while he do this to her. And he was really graphic. And this is a true story, and you can find it if you I'm not putting it in my in the description box or nothing, but it's a case. I can Google it up, and if you ask me, I can have it ready for you, and you can read all about it. This is a real terrible story, and it's true. But then after he raped her, repeatedly raped her in front of her two daughters, and this was a preacher, mind you, that just lost her husband not too long. She was a widow, and her parents, the now parents, and had just moved to that town, just bought that house, you know. And this is what happened to her. She was baking a cake for church the next day, was Sunday. And then he pulled her, raped her on the back of the car, the trunk, or the hood of the car. I think it was the hood. and he raped her. And the kids were crying, and she said she begged them, you know, don't kill my children, don't kill my children. And then he said, you better tell them to, you know, shut up. And she was telling the children to shut up, that she was all right and all that stuff. She was pleading with these men. And then finally, when they finished with her, they drug her down off the roof and just shot her. They thought they killed her, but they didn't. And so she went out, blacked out, I guess. But when she didn't even know what happened. She thought she was dead. But they went around and got the children out because they was going really crazy. This was the eyewitness that he didn't go to the electric chair, but he told everything, you know. And he said that he drug them out of the back seat and took them and threw them out there in the out in the bushes, and he shot them right in the head. He shot both of the little girls, like I say, age I think 9 and 11, and he killed them. And then she come through. She came through, and then when she came through, she didn't know what was going on. She didn't know what happened, and they had stolen her car, riding all around, joyriding, drinking, smoking weed, doing drugs and stuff, and had that woman's car. Yeah. And she didn't show up in church the next day, and the people went to her house. But then what had happened was she had gone and crawled on, when she come through, she crawled across the street to her house. She could barely see a light because she was blind, you know. And she crawled across the street and into a house, and all she know, she reached up, she say, and felt for a doorbell, rung a doorbell, knocked on the door, but she did, they heard her come to the door. And when they looked and saw her, all this blood, all this goings on, they closed the door, and they told her to stay right there and say, who did this? Who say, somebody, they got my daughters. They got my daughters. She didn't know her daughters were dead. And, but anyway, the people that helped her, they wouldn't let her in because they didn't know what was going on. You look at your house and somebody on the ground and all bloody and stuff, and you really don't know her, you know. So they called the ambulance, called the police and all this, and then they rushed her off to the big city hospital. That's where they took her. And she was in a coma. And she was in a coma for 3 weeks. Y'all, it was a while. It was a while, you guys, because they had a funeral in the town she come from. And then they had bought, when she come out of the coma, that's when they told her her daughters were dead. Both of them. And they had the funeral in the town, both of the little girls. I went I didn't go to the funeral, but I went to the funeral home, and I saw the little girls. Yeah. And she had one eye, you know. But it was horrible. And so Amazing Grace, she survived this and this torture. And this young man, they gave him the death sentence in Florida. The death sentence, I don't know if it's still going on now, but he got the electric chair. And they rushed his case in. And now, I'm not saying nothing about. He was you know how a kid always got in trouble and stuff around there. Always since I knew this kid was like that, and then to grow up to be a rapist and a murderer, to kill 2 children, and he thought he killed that lady, but amazing grace, she did not die. No, she did not die, and she lived to tell the story. So that's amazing grace, and it's a true story. He was a young black man in Lake County, Florida. He was electrocuted. I think it was like around 1988 or something like that. Could be 88 or somewhere around there. It was in the 80s, and it was after my husband died. Yep. So, and my husband passed in 87, so 88 had to be 88, somewhere like that. And you'll see it because he was electrocuted. So he was on death row, and he died. He was killed on death row. But amazing grace, this lady is living today to tell the story. But she lost in 1988, I believe it was. He killed her 2 daughters, and she was left for dead. Yeah, that's a true story. And all my stories ain't going to be gruesome now. I'm going to tell you some good stories too, but that's just life. Those are the stories. Just like I say, these real stories. Just so happen I know them. I know a lot of stories, honey. But anyway, this is one story from my story box, and it is a true story. Okay, don't reveal no name. You can look it up in the county books. Even you could probably Google it up right now and find out what the kid name was. I remember him when he was a little boy, little bitty boy. He was a handsome little something. But to grow up to be such a evil devil he was, to do that to that woman. Okay, you guys, like and share. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. My videos, I do come with stories, so just be on the lookout for story time. Just get them out of the way for the weekend, because I'm not going to do live this weekend, honey. I'm taking off. I'm not going to do live. And so, anyway, you guys have a pleasant weekend. This is Joanna signing out for the weekend. I'm going to look at put a ring on it tonight. Okay, bye-bye. Love you guys. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't done it already. And thanks for helping me reach my 500. Bye-bye.